Hey, Lockie from Outback Tourer. Today we're going to do a demonstrational video on how to mount a rooftop tent and an awning independently. We're going to explain why would we be mounting it independently compared to the tent, and just overall giving everyone different options on how to fit their rooftop tents and awnings. Now, we've been getting this question since the dawn of time, since the beginning of Outback Tourer. How do I mount my awning and my tent when I've got a single channel base, or you just want to be a little bit more sensible and mount independently? Your car gives you the ability to mount independent. Now, a couple of reasons we've chosen to go independent on this car is because we are putting a 1.4 X on, which has a single channel base. Now, if you have the ability to mount your awning and you have a double channel base, even though the tents are engineered to mount an awning to it, you might still want to mount it independent if you can. Now, in our opinion, and this is purely our opinion, you can choose your own adventure, mounting an awning to an independent bracket, now 380mm stainless steel bracket, cantilevered the whole way back across your headboard and rear bar, rhino rack, whatever you've got. This is a stronger way to mount your awning. Now, reason being, if you're attaching an awning just to the side of your tent like that, the grip range of the awning bracket to the tent, you're only relying on the two channels on the tent, as opposed to cantilevering this force all the way back through your rack or headboard. Now, you imagine you're driving down a track and this cruiser here is going to get wheeled pretty hard. You put it up against a bank or it gets snagged on a tree or something like that. You would rather have your awning separate to your tent. That way you're going to have a $1,400 weekend if you break it, not a, potentially a $6,000 weekend if you break the side of your tent. Now, that also is the same if you're in wind. You imagine you've got your awning connected to your tent, it gets a whole lot of wind under it, you haven't tied it down, it got you by surprise. You could actually damage the base of the tent. Now, not the end of the world. Everything to do with our tents is modular. You can pull the entire tent apart and change the base. We can shoot a video on that. It's about a couple-hour job. Not the end of the world, but it is quite inconvenient and a cost that you don't need to endure if you bolt the awning independent. So we'll rip into that and show you how we're going to do it, things we recommend, and the entire process. All right, so step one, we're going to bolt these awning brackets together. So we're going to go up beside the car and work out what height we actually want to put these at, because as you would have seen, our awning brackets are height adjustable. Now, we don't want to put these in the moon. This is a very high Land Cruiser, so we might just pick a height, maybe about that. We could even go lower. Like, this is a very high vehicle, so we might even flip these brackets and go a bit lower, but you get the point. We'll put that there and then we'll go put these bolts together. All right, this was the desired height we chose, so we'll get this all bolted together. Won't show you the whole process, but we might speed it up and you'll get the idea if I can actually get this bolt in. Let's try this side. There we go. We should be sponsored by Anti-Seize, because we preach this stuff above and beyond. Stainless on stainless, make sure we are using Anti-Seize. Now, you will only do this once in your life. Use stainless on stainless without Anti-Seize. Now, stainless on stainless, if you use it without Anti-Seize, it can bind up, and then literally the only way you're going to get it undone is with a grinder or some sort of cutting tool. So just get yourself some Anti-Seize. We try and say it in every video. This stuff's like $10 from Super Cheap, and put that on before you tighten it up. All right, so step number whatever we're up to here, we've gone and we've measured the center point of the tent, and then we've come out to make sure that this is where the awning bracket's going to sit. Now, I'm going to center this up on the headboard and do a couple of marks here, which is where we're going to drill our holes. If you had a roof rack, you'd be doing the same thing, except you'd be mounting it to the roof rack. So we're going to do 1 hole, 2 hole, 3 hole. We've got a little bit of a gap under here, but that's all right. We're going to stack some washers and put a nut under there to contend with this contour here on the back ladder rack here. Rightio, so we've marked the holes out. You would have seen that just before, and now we're going to run our drill bit through. I'm going to run a 5mm bit through and then an 8.5 because we're putting an 8mm bolt through. So we'll go 8.5, give ourselves a little bit of tolerance. If you had a center punch, now would be a good idea to center punch it, but I don't have it. So I'm going to start with a smaller drill bit and hope we don't walk with the drill. See how we go. Nice and slow. Now, we want to make sure we're drilling square. We don't want to be drilling on an angle, otherwise it's going to make it really hard to put these bolts through. So make sure we're nice and square and then follow that hole the whole way through. There we go. Now we'll change over to our 8.5mm and run that through, and then we'll drop the bolts through. All right, so these are our bolts. We're using the bolt through the headboard. These are a little bit long because we want to use our fancy dome nuts on the bottom. I've got one here. We want it to look, nice and neat. So we've got to chop a little bit off so that looks nice. Now, tip for the young players, if you are cutting a bit off your bolts, slide a nut on first. So when you do cut it, you wind that back over the thread you've just cut, and you'll get the nut back on. Otherwise, you'll be under there battling trying to get it on. Now, we're not going to demonstrate cutting because I am a plumber in my last life, and my grinder does not have a guard on. And everyone in the comments, oh, where's your guard? Workplace health and safety. So we're going to skip that, and we'll get back and we'll have these cut. Right, we've got the awning brackets on there. We cut those bolts down with our grinder, with the guard, with our Prada safety glasses, and our Apple AirPod earphone ear protection. So safety first, everyone. Now, brackets are on, all good, bolted up. Now, we're gonna measure our distance apart, so we're about 12:30-ish. And then we have to decide where we're going to finish this awning. Now, the awning is strongest when we bolt it to the hinge end. This is the business section of the awning. This is where we're cantilevering all the weight off. So in this situation, we're going to get it here. So I'd say that's about 80% capability. If we could have got it here, it would have been a little bit stronger, but no stress. This is still going to be really good. Just with the tent orientation, which you'll see in a sec, this was the part where we had to put it. So going to be super strong. We'll put these in, and then we'll measure that 12:30 to our next set of bolts, and then you'll see us lift it up and we'll bolt it all up, ready for the next step. So as we were talking about at the start of the video, this is the independent mount. Now, obviously this headboard tapered off a little bit, so we had to pack it up with 2 nuts, but that is super strong. Now, it's easy to demonstrate that it is independently mounted here. So you imagine you're driving down a track, or you put this thing into a bank and this gets hung up. We're only going to potentially rip the awning out of these 2 tracks. Obviously not ideal, but things do happen. As opposed to if this is connected onto your rooftop, you would actually damage the side of the tent. So that's why in this instance, this car is a hard wheeler. We've chosen to do it independently, and in our opinion, it is always stronger to do it this way. And if you can do it this way, it is the better job. Although sometimes you can't, and your headboard might actually finish here. So your tent's overhanging here. You literally cannot mount it independently, so you do mount it to the tent, which we do explain in our tent walkthroughs. So this next part might not be applicable to you unless you're drilling through a rhino rack. You could see that in our rhino rack video, or you're drilling through a headboard. Now in this instance, the back headboard has a wing attached to it, so we're not going to get our traditional clamp around the headboard or the rear rack. So we are just doing we're going to do a 10mm hole for the 8mm bolt, make it nice and easy. We're going to bolt this one through. I thought I'd just demonstrate it anyway, since we're here. Good to see it as another option. So what I'm doing, I'm just getting our center line, so center of channel to center of channel, and they are at 600mm apart. That way, when we jump up on the car in a sec, we'll find the center of the headboard, measure out 300mm, and do our hole through, and then the whole tent can drop on through. A center point, mark out our 300 either side, like we spoke about, and we will bang these holes through. finished result. You would have seen we dropped it down on the forklift, dropped those bolts through. Bolt! Shh! That's all bolted up. We'll zoom in here, we'll show the independent mount. So independent bracket, that headboard taper, that's why we packed that up, we discussed before. That's just sitting off the tent, like you could fit like a toothpick in there. I had a different word in mind, but we'll say that. But yeah, all mounted independently, ready to rock. Rightio, I know we already said goodbye, but how good does it look? I could probably sit here for the next couple of hours, so hope you're happy.
Yeah, thank you very much, man. Can't be happier. This is awesome.